Hi, this is Linda and welcome back to my kitchen, Hands That Cook. I did a biscuit recipe a couple years ago now that has been very successful because it's easy and it makes great biscuits. And the name of that video was Light Flaky Perfect Biscuits Every Time. Well, I found an easier way to do it. The first way was that you use 2.5 cups of self-rising flour, and I still have 2.5 cups of self-rising flour in this bowl. But what I'm going to do is take some of it out and put it in my mini chopper. So this is a 1/2 cup measure and it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to put this in here. And that stick of frozen butter, I cut it up into 8 pieces. I'm throwing it in. Now, in the first video, you had to shave the butter into the flour. And please don't substitute. You have to use butter. This time, I'm going to pulse it. It's much easier. And I'm going to show you how big. Don't pulse it till it's tiny crumbs. You're not going to have a good biscuit if you pulse it that much. Let's see. All right. Hold on. All right. Let me see if I can get down in this bowl for you. You see there are chunks of butter in here. Chunks of butter. And that's the way you want it. Now you take this and pour it into the rest of your dough, the rest of your flour. Alright. Now, you see those chunks? I'll get down in here. Chunks of butter. That is what's going to make them flaky and light. If you get it too small, you're going to have an ordinary biscuit. Now, you take this and you put it in the freezer for 10 minutes because you want everything as cold as possible. I'm going to do that right now and then I'll bring you back. Alright, we're back. This has been in the freezer for 10 minutes, actually 13, but it doesn't matter, 10 or 15 minutes. And by the way, the butter that I used was salted. I never use unsalted butter, ever. Even when a recipe calls for it, I don't use it. Alright, now the first change was that you put it in a mini chopper, or your food processor will work. It doesn't matter. Then you can make a little hole down in the center. Now I prefer full buttermilk, but you can, and I have used low-fat buttermilk. You're going to add a cup of that to the center of this. Now, I don't know if my flour is dry or what's dry, but I have found every time I make them that I have to use more than a cup, but it won't be much more than a cup. I can usually tell. I have to add some more. I'm going to add probably about 1/4 cup, maybe not even. Alright, 1/4 cup. Now when you stir this, don't stir it more than 15 or 20 times. I got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's all I'm going to do. And this is just, it's just a big fork. It's a stirring fork. But, I mean, you can use a spoon, you can use a regular fork, it doesn't matter. Now, have a floured surface. This is my, let me move back a little bit. My pastry cloth that I just can't live without, I love it. So, I'm pouring this, or dropping it, onto a well-floured surface. Mine just happens to be a pastry cloth, but yours can be anything that you want to use. Your bare counter if it's clean, sheet of wax paper, or a sheet of saran wrap, whatever works for you, that's what you're going to use. And you can see that it's quite wet. If yours doesn't look like this, add a little more buttermilk, because if it doesn't look like this, they'll be too dry. So I have a little bit left in my bowl, and I'm going to scrape that out, and we're going to get to the second change that I made. I have preheated my oven. Actually, the recipe that I followed called for a 475 degree oven, and that just seemed a little too hot for me, but I kind of split the difference. I'm going at 460, but I have done many of these at 450, so you know, you just have to feel your oven out, see how it works for you. Now you're going to take this and you're going to sprinkle some flour on it so it'll be more manageable. And pat it down. Let me get this bowl out of my way. Alright, here comes the second change that I'm making. Now, I got flour all over my hands here. I'm making a mess. Alright, what the recipe actually called for was to double. Take this and double it. I don't have enough flour on it. It's still sticking to my hands, and you don't want that. Okay? It said to flip it over once. Well, I'm going to flip it over on itself again. And you see that needs more flour. You don't want to deal with a real sticky dough. It's just not going to do it right. So I'm going to turn it. I'm going to roll it. I'm going to do the same thing again. So it is folded in thirds. 2. We're going to do this 5 times. I need a little more flour. This way you're going to get more layers faster. still a little sticky, isn't it? Alright, that's 3. Now, you don't have to mash too hard. You don't want to mash your layers together. That's 3. Gonna have to add more flour. This is 4. I'm gonna have to put more on my rolling pin. And I'm going to do it one more time. Now see, if it sticks on you like it is on me, add a little more flour. You don't want it sticking to your board like mine is. You don't want that. Alright, so now I'm going to roll it out. Got your biscuit cutter. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, use a glass that has a decent size to it on the end, or you can pinch them off. That's when you just grab it with your hands and pinch into a biscuit. And alright, this is what mine looks like. So I've got my little biscuit cutter here, and I have a little bit of flour on this, and I'm just gonna punch them out. Put them on my baking sheet. I don't have this baking sheet. I don't have anything on it. Make your biscuits touch. I'm going to show you. Like this. Let them be touching, because they have each other to rise on. Now I'm going to put a little bit of buttermilk on these, on the top of them, so they'll brown pretty. And then they're going into that, what I'm using is 360-degree oven, and it should take about 15 to 20 minutes. But I'll let you know, and we'll see how they turn out. Well, I'm going to freeze the rest of these. Let me just tell you that. I'm going to cut them out and freeze them on a tray. When they get frozen, I just put them in a Ziploc bag, and they're ready to pop into the oven, and you just preheat your oven. And while your oven is preheating, just let them sit on a tray, and when the oven gets to the correct temperature, you're ready to pop your biscuit in there. Now when you finish cutting out all the whole biscuits you can, just gather your dough up. and lay it back down and cut some more biscuits out, and continue to do that until you can't get any more biscuits. Now the first biscuits you cut out are going to be the best biscuits because you've handled the dough less. But we'll be back. We're back. I baked mine exactly 15 minutes. They are light. You can see my oven is not baking evenly. I don't know why. But these are light biscuits. If you look closely, you can see the layers in them. All of them, just wonderful looking biscuits here. And they stuck to my aluminum foil. So I'm telling you, lightly grease. Very lightly grease your pan that you put them in. Sam was supposed to be here to taste one, but as usual, he's nowhere to be found. Now look, I didn't even have to cut this biscuit. Look at that. Perfect. I'm going to throw a little butter on here. I can barely hold it, it's still steaming. A little bit of butter, and in fact I might just butter them all. Look at that. Now I don't want anybody writing in and telling me you're supposed to use a fork. I have a knife and it's out, so that's what I'm using. And I don't think it's going to make a biscuit taste any worse by opening it with a knife. Do you? I don't. See, this is where it's stuck. One of them stuck. So I'm going to go ahead and butter all of these. They're crispy. They're crispy on the bottom and on the top. And I'm beginning to wonder if I even needed to put anything on the top for them to brown, because the temperature is so high. Got a high temperature. And I bake mine in the middle of the oven. I don't know how other people bake theirs, but that's how I bake mine, and they come out perfect. Every time. Every time. I'll get this little piece right here. I tasted a little bit of the part that broke off. And it's so buttermilky and delicious. You are going to love how much easier it is this way. Don't leave out any of the steps. And I've had people say, what kind of flour? This is White Lily self-rising flour and salted butter, and I used whole buttermilk. So there you are with these wonderful biscuits. Thank you for coming in today and spending part of your day with me. I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate all my old subs and my new subs, and those that have been generous in going to my Amazon gift page to help me have things that I need in this kitchen. I appreciate that. I love every one of you. You're my family. And I appreciate all of you. So until next time, you all take care, and may God bless every one of you.